drop and rejoin occasionally because I have crappy service.
Yeah, I understand. So this is the city of Inasse, and um, what you're seeing, okay, what's highlighted is this is the North Docks district, also known as the Freebooter's Crotch. So um, your the ships that you came in on, each came in on a different ship, but they I don't know if you can see the cursor because it's just there's the normal cursor.
Sort of.
There's the normal cursor. So your ship's docked along in here, along here, and it was late last night, so you didn't get to see an awful lot. So and it was dark, and so you loaded up on a carriage loaded you up. This is where you first sort of bumped into each other. And what happened is as part of your initial purchase of your ticket to Inasse, you were given the first night stay. And so you got on, so you took a carriage and it wandered around, and you ended up here at this building here, which is called the Drunken Builder's Tavern. And so you came in last night, you ended up, you got your rooms. It's a fairly large tavern, and in the middle of the night, so each of you ended up in a separate room, and it's not too noisy of a tavern, but there's things going on, and you know that there's other things happening. So you sleep through a relatively uneventful night. I mean, you hear some noises going on. And in the morning, you get up to wander down into the main area and for breakfast. So why don't you introduce yourselves? So, or how do you want to go about that? So tell me how you want to introduce yourselves. Why don't we start with describing your character, describing what the other characters see.
Okay, I'll start. But first of all, what's the name of the place again? The Drunken what?
Drunken Builder's Tavern.
Okay. Well, you guys should probably come downstairs. I'm already down there in my dark hooded clothes. My underneath is just some kind of cheap leather armor. I'm sitting there eating some eggs and potatoes. I have red hair. I'm about 25, and I look pretty tough for a 25-year-old girl. I've been through a lot. I look like I kind of have a little bit of attitude to me. You don't want to say good morning to me like that. I look kind of grumpy. So, and my name is Darla Winter.
All right, I'll wander downstairs. I'll see this female. Yeah. What everyone sees when they look at me as I enter would be a black skull mask that covers my entire head, a black uniform with the crest of a white five-pointed star and a sword next to each other. Looks like a military uniform.
I see the skull mask and kind of give a half grin to that, and go back to my eggs.
And poking over my shoulder would be my bronze greatsword. And a few other weaponries scattered about my person.
I didn't notice that. All right. So, go on with it. Who else has got? Who else needs to introduce themselves?
I still do.
Hunter.
Okay.
All right, so I walk down, and everyone sees a huge Goliath with a big great sword on his back and a bunch of spiked armor. He just kind of looks around the room and finds a seat.
Okay. So we've got it. Okay. All right. So this is going to be, shall we say, an interesting encounter. So, all right. So, Darla, the waitress that comes up to you, okay, so she comes up and she's serving you and says, okay, what's Darla's charisma?
My charisma is 16.
Oh, okay. So she's serving you your eggs and potatoes and says, "You're a pretty one, aren't you? You looking for some work?" Anyway, now this character is, you're not really sure of her age. She's definitely an adult, very unkempt, and she's got a charisma of 5. Okay. So, let's see. I wonder if we can do that. That will help.
Is she asking me if I want work?
Yes.
This kind of day depends on the work.
Oh, she says, "Oh, it's easy. You just lie back and wait till they're done."
Not this time of day. No, it's too early for that.
Well,
But thanks, though.
well, it's just, we're always looking. It's just we're always looking for more ladies. So anyway, now then, that's Darla. Let's do Bofu or
Bofu.
Bofu. So Bofu, the character that comes up to yeah. So and Darla, she whispers, "Well, if you want, ask for Ermhair."
Ermhair.
Yeah, that's her name, Ermhair. And so, Bofu, the waitress that comes up to you, says, "What would you like for breakfast?" Says, "You're a big one, aren't you?" Now, you can tell she's related to Ermhair, but she's a bit prettier. She's got a charisma of 7, and she sort of rubs up on you and says, "Is there anything you would? What would you like to have? What would you like to eat?"
I ate in my room.
Oh, she says, okay. Can I get you something to drink?
Mead.
Mead. Okay. So she goes off. And then well, she tells you your name is Ludita. Ludita. Okay. So then the third waitress comes up to Goliath, Barbos. And she says, well, you're a real big one, aren't you? And she
Thank you.
I'm Barbos. And she coughs a bit, and, a bit more, and says, what would you like for breakfast? And she's got a charisma of 10, but she's coughing an awful lot. So
What is the largest, least expensive thing you have?
largest, least expensive thing we have. Oh, I'm sure I can. You want a large, cheap breakfast? Is that what you said? Is that what you want?
Yes.
Okay. She says, I'll go talk to the cook.
All right.
So the waitress comes out with the mead and brings that to Bofu. And now, Bofu, did you described what you're wearing, correct, to the rest of the party?
Yes.
So how do you drink your mead?
Very carefully. There's a hole where the mouth on the skull piece is. The mouth of the
Okay.
skull. There's a hole there. I can pour it in.
All right. Sounds messy.
It only works with liquids. It doesn't work with other things.
Yes. So a few minutes later, it takes a few minutes as you're sitting there. The waitress comes up with this great big plate. And both of you notice as the waitress approaches the table where Barbosa is that there's a very strong, fishy, rotten odor coming from this large plate of food that she sets down in front of Barbas, and you're immediately assaulted with the smell of fish, of rotten fish and rotten potato smell. It's hot, it's steaming, and it's covered in this grayish, nondescript, this grayish brown, nondescript gravy. And you see some sticking out from some of that. You see some fish heads and some potatoes that have green and just green and black on them. And she sets it down in front of you, and there it goes. Enjoy.
Oh, I can barely contain my excitement. I dig right in.
If you look over at Darla, she's giving you a look like, are you really going to eat that?
I just smile over at her.
Okay. Let me just do a quick check to see if I got any emails. No. So the other one we had was, there's one more person who's supposed to join.
Yeah. Bofu is just going to pull out his dice. play a little game by himself.
Dice. Huh?
That was William.
Is Barbus is the
Yeah,
name of the big
cards
guy?
Yep, Barbas.
All right.
All right. Now then. I'll do that one second time. There we go. Okay. So now then, as you're enjoying your breakfast, oh, come on. Sorry. As you know, you've got the Goliath chowing down on this, and you've got Darla. So the waitress keeps hinting to Darla that there's plenty of work for her, and Bofu is just drinking his mead. So a character walks up to, and next to Bofo and says, "Mind if I join you?"
Suit yourself.
Okay, so the character is sort of average height. He's just a normal human with, sort of nondescript. And he goes, "You're new in town. Is there anything I can help you with?"
I'm looking for a man.
"Ah, you're looking for a man."
Yes, a man with a red cloak.
Man with a red cloak. Okay. He says, "Well, that's not a lot to go on, but
I got a name.
okay. What's the name?
Amos Kintan.
Can you type that into the chat, please?"
Yes.
Okay.
It's loading, so it's on its way.
Okay. So now
Oh, there it goes.
Okay. Oh, here we go. Okay.
Eric, come on.
All right. So now then, as you okay, so that gave me. Now then. So he said, "Well, I'm not really into finding people. I'll have someone else will come up and see if they can help. See if they can help you with that." So he steps away.
Eric!
He steps away from the table and steps over to Darla and says, "Hey, cutie, new in town?"
Fresh off the boat, you might say.
Mind if I join you for a minute?"
Sure.
So he sits down and says, "Is there anything I could help you with since you're new in town?"
What are you, like the welcoming committee?
You could say something like that.
Well, I'm just looking for honest, respectable work.
You're looking for some work. What kind of work?
You know, I'm good with a sword. Protecting people, finding things, delivering messages, anything like that.
Oh. Okay. Well, I'll see if there's some. I might be able to introduce you to some people. Let me. Says I'm just, I'm looking around and seeing who's new in town. So he gets up and he says, "I'll see if I can get you some contacts." How's that?
That sounds good.
And he walks over to the Goliath, who is about, I'm assuming, about 80% finished with breakfast. And he looks at the Goliath and goes, "Are you enjoying that?"
Eric, come on.
I just mumble with a bunch of food in my mouth acceptantly.
And he goes, I might have some work for a man with a strong stomach.
Like what?
There's some things that need to be loaded and unloaded that some may find a little offensive, in who if they have a weak stomach, they may not be able to handle.
I tap the hilt of my sword and say, "Do I get to use this?"
Perhaps. And he said, "So you're available for some interesting work?"
I nod at him.
Okay. He said, he reaches into his pocket and pulls out a wax tablet. Now, for those of you who haven't played in this world before, paper doesn't exist. Pencils don't exist. Pens don't exist. You have, you write on wax tablets or clay tablets. Wax is more common, it's cheaper. The clay tablets form are more permanent because if you can let them dry, then it's more permanent, and if you even have them fired, they become ceramic, and so they're very, very permanent, but they're fragile. They can break. Wax is, it's just wax. It's wax on a background of just thin board with wax smeared on it, and they use a stylus to write into it. And he said, if you
Eric, come on.
He draws a symbol on the a crudely drawn skull and snake, with the snake going in the one eye socket and coming out. You know how it's like threaded through the eye sockets and coming out. So he said, someone will come up to you and show you this. And he gives it. He says, you can have this one. And he says, but get rid of it after you, he says, once you're convinced that it is there, then we'll get there. Oh, so so William joined. Okay.
Woohoo!
So,
Hey guys, don't let me interrupt too much. Like I said, I have a birthday party going on, so I gotta roll up some stuff, Jeff. But I'm listening, and I'll throw some questions in for the players, and have a character and stuff over to you shortly.
okay. So you're sitting there, and the waitresses come up and ask if Bofu would like a refill on his mead, or would she?
Yes.
And he says, "We're a big, strong guy like you. Is you interested in some exercise this early in the morning?"
Now, I'm assuming she means the horizontal kind. He's going to go, no.
Okay, that's a shame. Anyway,
But
so
if there's any more vertical, like breaking, smashing, anything like that, he's up for it.
okay, she says, "All right, I'll convey that to some people." And the waitress comes up to the to Barbos and goes, "How was it?"
It was really good. Can I have more?
"You want more?" And so she goes, but she says, "Okay." So she takes the platter back and says, I'll be back shortly with some more." So, okay. She says, "You have a big appetite." Anyway, so a couple more guests come in and sit down. You can tell that you may have seen them on one of the boats one of the ships that you came in on. There's a couple, it's an elderly man and a little bit younger woman who are sitting over there, and the waitresses come up and get their orders. And then there's another guy. Let's see, well, why don't each of you give me a perception roll?
Seven.
Okay. Let's see that.
And what did we roll for perception again?
The D20 plus, isn't it on your?
Okay, I haven't figured out how to fill that piece of my thing out yet.
Okay.
So is it like a wisdom or intelligence check?
Wisdom.
Okay. I rolled a 1.
12 overall.
What?
12.
Well, okay. So none of you really notice anything. So that was sort of humorous. So the elderly, there's this elderly couple, and then there's this young man who got this deer in the headlight look. He's just totally lost. Doesn't know what's going on. And let's see, where did it go? And comes up to he about this time the waitress comes out with more food for Barbos, and everybody just, the odor of this stuff is quite foul. and this young man who doesn't know too much. He looks like a deer in the headlight. You think he probably is 17, but he might be a little bit younger than that. He's a little scrawny, and he comes up to Barbos and not Barbos, to Bofu, and he said, "Can you? I'm kind of hungry. Could you get me something to eat?"
I'll give him a couple gold pieces.
He goes, "Wow, thank you." And he starts to walk away, and what you've seen is that there is an older woman who runs the place, and she comes up as he comes out. She grabs a switch, a long stick from behind the counter, and comes running up to him and beating him on the back and says, "You get out of here! You quit mooching off all of our guests." And he's, "Don't hit me, don't hit me." And so he runs out. Do any of you do anything?
No.
Too focused on my food.
Bofu fulfilled his good alignment. He's okay.
So the character runs out of runs out, and you see him run out and being chased by the older woman who is obviously in charge, and she comes back up to you and says, "I hope you didn't give him any money." Says he's just a beggar that comes around here and shouldn't have been down bothering my guests. So so she just says, "Word of warning, you don't want to deal with the street urchins. With any of the street urchins here in Inasse." So she says that can be dangerous. So now then, there's also another man who sits over in the shadows and doesn't. The waitresses, he just waves the waitresses away, just sitting there watching things, seeing what's going on with everyone in the room. And he very seems to be watching the older man and the woman quite intently. And finally he gets up and walks over to one of the waitresses and whispers something to her and walks out the door. So the waitresses come up. It's about, they've about finished. The bar boss, you've had your second large serving. So do you eat the entire thing?
Yes, I do.
So you eat the entire thing. Yeah, okay. The waitress comes up and he says, and asks you, "Are you full yet?"
Well, I'm not full, but that should be enough.
Okay, she says, okay. And the older woman who had driven the guy out and says, "Well, today," he says, "I need to know who's, if you want to She said, "Are you staying another night?" She said, she sort of announces to the room, "I need to know if you're staying another night so we can make sure that the rooms are prepared for you." So she comes up first to Barbos and goes, "Are you staying for another night here?"
Yeah, I guess I will.
She says, "Okay." And then she walks over to Bofu and says, "Are you staying for another night?"
Yes.
"Okay." And then she walks over to Darla and winks at her a bit and says, "Are you staying?"
Yes, please.
"Okay." Yeah. So it's okay. It's okay. So it's. I'll see if I can paste in chat. It's the names. Yeah, people give their characters. It's Barbos and Bofu. So okay, but she says, would any, so she says, "Do you want to?" This is it's still relatively early in the morning. She says, "Or did you want to hang?" He says that there's plenty of things in the city to look after. I've got to look after my girls, and gives a, shall we say, a knowing smile. And would you? Is there, if any of you need anything right now, tell me, because I'm going to be busy for a while, and the girls need to get ready for some other things. So
I think I'll take a walk to see what the city looks like and come back later.
okay, so is that what? Now, is everybody going to just step out and?
Yeah, Bofu's definitely gonna step out.
Yeah, I'll do the same.
Okay, so
And I look at all three of us and say, "Aren't we a motley crew?" And I introduce myself.
okay, so you step out from this is the Drunken Builder Tavern. This building 609, and you step out onto the road here, and almost immediately you see a bunch of young kids running. Like they're bouncing between them. They're bouncing what looks sort of like a ball, but probably is an inflated pig's bladder.
Lovely.
Well, you have to remember, we're yeah, rubber balls didn't exist, and so you had to use what you. They're bouncing this pig's bladder between them, and they're running down the street, and they come up to you, and one of them runs with the ball closer to Bofu, and as he catches the ball, the bladder bursts, and he looks over at Bofu and screams, "You destroyed our ball!" And all these street urchins came running up to Bofu and surrounding us. "You destroyed our ball! We want it back! Fix our ball!" So what does everyone in the party do?
Did I miss something?
The kids go and fix their ball.
The kids have surrounded Bofu, the young street urchin, and they're saying, "You destroyed our ball, and you got to pay for our ball. You destroyed it. You broke it." And so
Can I try and see if they broke it on purpose?
give me a perception roll.
6.
You had a hard time seeing the ball. So what happens, this is going to be an interesting game with the rolls you guys have been getting. So give me a perception roll for Bofu.
Overall. Not an actor.
Say again?
20.
You got a 20. Wow.
Overall. It's +3, so I got a 17 on the die.
Okay. So you notice that that a couple of the urchins have are attempting to pickpocket you. Now, it appears that they know that you have some gold someplace, and they seem to have a pretty good idea where you had it kept. And they're trying. Some of them are distracting you, and some of them are trying to pickpocket you. What do you do?
Put my hand on the money and look at the ones trying to pickpocket me with my scary skull mask.
Okay. He doesn't seem to be impressed. And while you got your hand on the money, one of the younger ones slides up next to you and with a knife tries to cut the money pouch open. So
I'll grab his hand with my other hand, the one not covering the money pouch, to stop the knife from moving.
okay.
I'll roll Intimidate.
Okay. Give me a roll.
All right. 12 overall. I rolled a 7 and it's a +5, so 12.
Okay, so you intimidate the one that's you intimidate the two that you've grabbed, or the two that were right there, but one from behind you, since you're trying to do that, one from behind you comes up and is trying to reach between your legs and and grab you, not in a friendly way.
All right. Push through him, releasing the one kid. Keep my hand over the money pouch. Just pretty much walking away from that.
Okay, so
Not very far, just enough to break the
you're
circle.
trying to push your way through that. There are about 12 of these street urchins, and
Little monsters.
What?
Little monsters. They're not street urchins. They're little monsters.
And were any of you in the game?
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I was going to ask, were any of you in the game last time we had street urchins?
No.
Okay.
When Noah and they started calling rape and everything, and then we ended up running, and Noah was going to start killing kids.
Yes, that was that one.
The paladin killing kids. Yeah.
Wonder if anybody remembered that one. Yes, that was an interesting one. That's not going to happen this time, but it's so as you're standing around. So what are the other characters doing besides?
Well, I was going to ask if I saw what's going on here. I see, like, because I'm
Yeah,
kind of familiar with street urchins, you know.
They're
I see what's
young
going.
kids.
I want to know what's like kind of. I'm not familiar with the city, but like, what is they, you know, I want to like kind of look out, city guard, like kind of like make them scatter, thinking the police are coming.
Okay, so
I just want to yell at.
okay, so you want to yell for the city guard?
No, I want to make them think that the city guard's coming. Like, hey, look, scatter. Like whatever slang they use for the guard. Like, I'm using their terms.
Okay.
Like, and like you scatter their,
Scatter from the
from the police that are coming. Yeah.
Okay, so you yell the scatter from the police that are coming, and
I'm trying to bluff them. Really, I'm bluffing.
Yes. So that was that. That is. Let me get the character's name again. That's Barbus is doing that, right? No, or Darla. Darla's trying to tell them to scatter because the police are coming. Okay, so okay, so they seem to take a look at that and run off into the distance. They seem to scatter. They do. Cursor. So this was happening right about here, and they seem to scatter in all different directions. And they're there as you're doing that. Okay, so what happens is a rock gets thrown from over in this direction here at Barbus. Not Barbus. No, Bofo. Gets thrown at Bofo. So let me see where my dice go. So no, I don't think an 11 would hit you, would it? No.
Not with a 20 AC.
So the rock misses you, but and they scatter. So you're standing there about that time, and okay, so. Okay, so okay, just a second. Okay, so okay, let's see. Let me see if I did this right. Then. Okay. There we go. Now, so that finished up, and as your so they scattered, and about this time, shortly about this time, coming from. Let me stop. presenting. Let's see. Yeah. One second. Sorry about this. So, as you're standing there, the okay. So as you're standing there, the someone who you actually see someone who does look like the city watch come wandering up, and and he comes down this way and over this way, and he obviously had seen some of what's going on, and he wanders up and said, is everyone okay?
I'm fine.
Damn urchins.
And he goes, well, they're just trying to survive. Did you hurt any of them?
No,
No.
sir.
He says, okay.
Scared them, but no harm.
No harm. Well, he says, you're new in town, aren't you?
Yes.
Looks over at the guy in the mask and says, not really sure I approve of wearing a mask.
You wouldn't say that if you saw me without it.
Where did that go? He says, I've seen some rough things in my life. But he said, that's okay. Just keep it. We don't like problems in our city.
Well, I'm looking to solve one.
We're looking to solve a problem. Ah, what kind of problem are you trying to solve?
A thief took my cloak. I'm here to hunt him, skin him, and kill him in that order.
Okay. He looks at you kind of funny and said, so you're into skinning. I said,
just those that steal from me.
well, they said, all right. He said, if you're actually that good with it, maybe when you catch your person that you're looking for, you may want to talk to the garrison and enter into one of their competitions on skinning. And he looks at you kind of funny and walks on by and said, all right, just stay out of trouble. Now then.
No problem.
So
I just look over and I'm like, you can compete for that?
Okay, tiny bit of history. Okay, so we're in. Okay, tiny bit of history so that you understand the context. This is 50 years after the Marazzer invaded. The Marazzer took over the country of Greth. They slaughtered the way they slaughtered the royal family. The Marazzer tend to skin their enemies. So the general who captured the king of Greth skinned him alive. They had a competition between the officers who could remove. Now, whose captive could live the longest after all the skin was removed? Marazzer.
Nice.
Yes. The king of Greth lived for a couple of hours, screaming in pain, obviously, after all his skin was removed because the general was so deft at removing the skin. His skin was then tanned and put up as a skin in with the general. That's at the that actually is still on display at the military headquarters in I think it's in Bastogne. It's not here, but the Marazzer are extremely efficient and extremely brutal. What happens is if you do something, you're normally killed in a variety of different ways. If you've done something horrible, what they view as horrible, they will skin you alive. The little things that you know about this because the Marazzer have been controlling this country for 50 years. The other thing they do is
Okay.
What?
Okay.
So the other thing that they do is for rape, they castrate. They castrate the rapist. And anyway, so they're fairly brutal. They can they're who are in the absolute control of this city. And so what happens is that every so often the Marazzer take some of the prisoners that have been captured by the city guard and have a competition about whose captive can survive having all their skin removed and how long can they survive. So the record is a couple of hours. Most times they don't survive the actual skin. So it's not what you heard was not truly unusual, but you probably haven't been around a garrison of Marazzer where this was as common. You've heard about it, but it's there. So that's a little bit of the history about that. All right. So now the game. So you've just had an encounter with the urchins, and one of the characters is one of the city guard has just walked by and talked to you, and about this time, someone walks out of the shadows here up this way and motions to Bofu to Barbos, and he motions to Barbos to come over.
I walk over to him.
He says, I understand you're a man who could, who's looking for some work.
I am.
And he said, okay. So there's and you have a fairly strong stomach, which is
I've been told.
which is important in this. He said, if you, let me see, I'm going to stop for a second. And he said, well, take this down, and he gives you directions to take this down to the he says it's down by where your ship docked. It says the ship has just come in, and they need some assistance in loading. And he goes and says, tell them, he says, says go down to the docks and talk to Claire, who's a man. No, sorry. Yeah, talk to Claire, who's a man. And welcome back, Cornelius. So he says, talk to Claire. Claire has some work for you. And if you have any friends who have a strong stomach, he could use you. So, and he gives you some directions to how to get back there. And he said, or you can, he says, or you can, or he says you could just take a carriage down there, and it'll be worth your while to, it's difficult work, and it's requires a strong constitution. So what do you do?
Should I tell him who sent me?
Oh, he'll know.
Okay, then.
And he walks away back into the shadows and sort of disappears. So what does the party want to do?
I kind of look over at Barros. I'm like, do you want some help?
If you want to help.
If I could eat while you were eating, I think my constitution's pretty strong, man. So
Okay, so do you want to walk there, or do you want to take a carriage?
I'm fine with walking.
Walking is fine.
Okay, so so you've got some. So you've got the directions. So I will, and the question I have is, tell me if you want to know what anything is as we go by it. So what happens is you're up here. Oh, let's see, it's not sharing yet. Share. You're up here. Where you're going is here. And
okay.
Let me just roll this. So this is how you came here last night by carriage. So you walk down this street, and then you walk along this street here, And I could list off what everything is, but that takes a little while. And you walk down this way. And here. And you finally get to this warehouse. This is a large warehouse, and you notice that it's right by the docks. A ship has come up, and normally you park here. Well, most of your ships that you guys came in on are along the docks here. This came right here, so it's a short distance from the warehouse. And there is obviously from the docks, there's the smell of the sea. This is a seaport, but you're also getting now a fairly strong fishy odor coming from as the breeze drifts in off the bay and over up this way. So you come up and you see a guy standing there. Obviously, he's sort of in charge. You've got a couple of guys who are moving barrels around and so on. And you can obviously, he's like the foreman or whatever. So what do you do?
I ask if he knows where Claire is.
He says, "I'm Claire. What can I help you with?"
I was told you have work for me.
Ah. So he says, "Oh, so you think you can handle this?"
I honestly don't know what I'm doing yet.
I said, "Okay. Okay." So he said, he says, and you brought some friends. That's even better. So he walks over and says, "Well, follow me." Wait, so well, first off, he opens up one of the large doors into the warehouse, and inside the warehouse are these large ceramic. They're made from brick. These two large vats. Let's just say that they're up on. He says they're built up from the ground. He says there's a ramp going up to the top of each of these vats, and then there's the vats and they narrow down, and at the bottom there's this like pepcock where liquid would drain off. And as he opened the door, you immediately get this foul smelling odor. And he says, "Okay, so what you need to do is we need to fill these." And he said, "The ships come in with a load, and you got to separate it." He said, the mermen and lizard folk go into the vat on the right, and the other things go into the vat on the left. And he said, so follow me over to the, and he says, "You may want to grab a wheelbarrow." He says, "There's some wheelbarrows here." And he says, "You got to load the wheelbarrows and then take them and put them up in the appropriate." And he comes over across to the ship and up the plank in there, and he says, "Okay." He looks at the captain. "Crack open the hold." And the captain goes, "Oh God." And so some guys they crack open the hold and they winch up off the top. And he says, "Somebody's got to," he said, "so here you go. You got buckets to get it out." He says, they caught them in their nets and loaded them down in the hold. You got to empty the hold. So you come up and the stench is really, really reeking. And you look down into this hold and it's filled with bodies. That's the best way to describe it. They're bodies. Some of them are moving. There's merfolk, there's lizard folk, there's some tritons in there as you identify. There's some other things that you don't know what they are. They don't look right, but they're there. And most of them are obviously dead, but not all of them. And so he says, what your job is, somebody has to climb down in there, and you better be armed, because he says some of those won't take kindly to you. And he says you load them into the big buckets, and the other guys winch them up, load up the wheelbarrows, and then you then you take this over into the warehouse and put them in the appropriate bins. You up for this?
Sounds good to me.
Don't die the kids. I'm almost ready for entry. Get it. Okay. All right. So, who's going to jump down in to load up the buckets?
I'm willing to do everything else but that.
I'm fine with doing that.
Okay. So, you jump down into there, and immediately several things attack you. So let's see. Let's roll initiative. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So you've got initiative. None of these things are at full strength, and they're obviously weak and things like that. And so you tend to, you're hacking and slashing a bit through some of them. Some of them appear to be moving. Some of the ones that are a little bit more alive seem to now be trying to crawl away from you. So, but you off a bunch of things, and then the rest of the party, I assume, start offloading, or start. They lower down the buckets. They lower down these. They're more like they're not round. They're rectangular buckets, so you can load them and then pour the contents out into the wheelbarrows. So I assume you start loading?
Yep,
Yes.
I grab a wheelbarrow and start going back and forth, loading it up.
Okay. So as you're dragging them along, so is that what all the rest of the party is also doing, is loading up these wheelbarrows?
Well, Bofu's hauling up the buckets.
Bofu's hauling up the buckets, and Barbos is down loading the buckets, and Darla, I guess, is running, is taking the wheelbarrow back full of the stuff. And I don't know if William, is your character here yet?
Yeah, Jeff, let's do, so I heard everything about the jumping down in the hole and everything. So if it's cool with you, just insert, like, maybe no one noticed, but when they were explaining the whole process and that you jump down there and the first bucket comes up, Maybe you said Barbos, right? You're down in the hall.
Yeah.
So like, the first bucket comes up, or after killing, doing whatever, and then I had just stepped everyone aside, and I just took the first one, and I didn't say anything, but I just started assisting and helping.
Okay.
Character-wise, before you jump into that, I guess, I'm robed, so you don't really see too much. But you notice that when he reaches down and grabs the bucket, that it's like an ashen gray skin. Like, I mean, I guess like it was doppelganger-ish, I guess. But like dead flesh maybe. And yeah, and then I just help out with the buckets, and I'll put the name in the chat, Jeff.
So is it share?
No, that was because you weren't screen sharing, so I just wrote share.
Oh, okay. Okay. So, all right, and it's a rogue. Okay.
This is gonna be a Triton wizard.
Okay. Okay, Triton. Okay.
Named Sinotra, because Sinatra didn't sound quite in game. So.
Triton wizard. I thought you said rogue somewhere along the line. Oh. Triton wizard, and it's male or female?
This will be male.
Okay. So, all right. Okay, and you've got 10,000 experience and 1,000 gold, and we'll work that out.
Gotcha. Cool. Thanks.
So, and okay, and when you get your character's name, we'll get there. Is it
Sinotra?
Sinotra?
Vague. It's French for wave.
Sinotra. Okay. I could try and get it at least in one of my spreadsheets.
I should have gone with someone with a B, but that would seem to be a theme.
Well, no, you got Darla, who's not. Okay, so we got, all right. So you're loading loading up the buckets and taking them over. And you have to, so Barbos, if you recognize it, you have to put it in, you have to separate them. And the guy keeps telling you, no, he says, if you know what it is, you put it in one bucket, and then the next bucket load it up with the things that you don't know what they are. Okay? So you're there. So you're heading as Darla and Sinatra are wheeling the wheelbarrows back to the warehouse, and you take them up to the top of the thing. Sinatra, just as you start to dump a load down into the big ceramic urn, a hand reaches up out of the wheelbarrow and grabs you, and you hear something whisper, "Please, no, don't." So what do you do?
Can I quickly see what it's attached to other than the hand, or is it covered in gook? Like, do I see the arm go to a shoulder and a face?
It goes down to a shoulder, and there's just part of a face showing out from the gook.
Can I tell quickly, like, the size? I mean, assuming these are type of, obviously, like, their bodies, right? So are they small? Are they big? The wheelbarrow, right?
What you would call average size.
Okay.
So some of them are a little bit shorter. So, please no, please no.
I'm just gonna dump the wheelbarrow, empty it like I didn't even notice.
Okay. All right. So you dump the wheelbarrow into the pit, and as you
Eric, come on.
And as you dump the wheelbarrow into the pit, you do see the hand that tried treats you. It is most of a body. It appears to be missing maybe legs, but it's most of a body, and maybe part of an arm, part of the other arm is gone, and it appeared to have been a Triton.
So can I see more in the pit that it dumped into? Like, can I
Oh yeah, there are.
How high is this pit? Like, I guess I'm assuming if it's filling up, can I see the carnage that I'm dumping into and start looking for other?
This pit, okay, you're going up 30 feet into the air. That imagine a large cylinder that's about 20 feet high by about 30 feet across, and then it comes down. If the last bottom 10 feet comes down to a funnel, like a funnel down at the bottom, where things there. And what happens is that you've just dumped one load, and you've seen this hold of this ship is full, and this hold has got a lot of stuff in there. So it's not going. This ship is not going to fill these two bins.
It's already trying to start trouble. All right, I want to since I dumped it, but taking note in going back. I think if Darla's also taking a wheelbarrow each time,
yeah,
I want to like walk by slowly, or however when we're in the same area, and I want to start taking note or counting. Are there different types? Are they just Triton? Can I like you said? I guess if you can tell them apart based on what the guy said. I want to start taking like inventory. Is it just a generalized? Or are they all Triton type of?
No, even from the one that you've dumped, there were some merfolk.
Okay.
And there were some lizard folk bodies that were there. And so then when you talk with Cornelius's character, which is Darla, her load is the first load that is not that you don't recognize. And what
other things?
What happens is that these things tend to be the majority of them. They're grayish. They've got their heads. They have a large head with a funny beak. They don't have teeth per se. Their mouth comes to a beak, and they're grayish. They the other thing that you notice is that they've got the ones that do have legs have that they're, I guess it's what's the chicken leg? No, it's how the knee bends the other way. It's so that's one of the things that you notice about them. They would be a little bit shorter. They're probably about 5'4" to 5'6". They're very smooth-skinned, grayish-looking things. They seem to have gills along their neck, and they look. You don't recognize them, what they are. That's what the majority of them are. There are some other things like normal fish. You see some sharks that were there, and some rays, and some other just routine fish that were also caught along with this. But it's the you see the funny grayish character things, and they have when they look grayish, they're grayish clear through. It's like a Triton or a merfolk. You get cut, and the skin is one color, and the flesh is the meat, shall we say, is a slightly different color. These other things they're gray, this grayish all the way through. They things like that, and you also see some decomposing or decomposed, shall we say, that probably were zombies of some sort. So that's what you see. So you're starting to offload the you're starting to do this, and so this is, and the odor of this is truly horrendous. This is really, really icky smelling stuff.
Hey Jeff, can I if we get a moment in the story sometime with the telling, I want to try to detect the thoughts of the and I guess it's within a range. So if there's, and I can see it. So if I see something else living, or I can sense a thought of these dead bodies, I'd like to try to do that.
Okay, so when you come back up, okay, so the interesting one is in your next load that comes up is other, shall we say. It's not the normal stuff. And when you detect thoughts, it's the thoughts are hunger. You know, it's like you detect that this thing is hunger and pain. It's obviously but what's more is that it's hunger and it's weak. What you would normally see is this: you're detecting some thoughts, and it's barely, shall we say, sentient. It's not truly sentient, but it's just barely sentient. So that's there, and you take it off and try and when you try and dump it, this one doesn't reach out to you, but one of them tries to stay in the wheelbarrow, and you have to shake it. Or if you want to try, do you want to try and rescue it, or it's trying to hold on to the wheelbarrow?
Depending on how the lip of the pit is, what if I oops and miss the pit and dump the wheelbarrow like a foot from the edge to the left, like it tipped to the left, and the bodies and all the other dumps out onto the ground?
Oh, okay. So when that happens, it lands with a splash. You have to remember it falls 30 feet.
Okay.
So then the guy tells you, okay, you got to clean that up and get it up in there. And he said, there's a shovel over there. So there's a shovel and a pitchfork, but make sure it's cleaned up. I don't want that smell there. So it fell 30 feet, and now you don't sense it anymore.
I killed him anyway. Rock on. Okay, I'll go to cleaning it up while we progress.
Okay.
I just wanted to say that while I've been doing this, any of them that were alive for me, I euthanized quite quickly with my dagger.
Okay. So
In their suffering.
You're medically trained.
Yeah.
okay. So as you're as let's see, who was it? It was the Barbos. As you're loading up these things into the into the buckets that they're uploading, you notice this something shiny, shall we say, glinting just as it sticks up out of the muck.
I want to go over and try and pick it up.
It appears to be some sort of pendant with so what happens is you pick up this pendant, and it's dirty and smelly, and the pendant is it appears to be of a cauldron on sitting, and the back behind behind the cauldron is a tablet with some, you can just barely make out some writing on the some symbols on the right on the tablet behind the cauldron. You know, but and this is this pendant, and it's all icky and so on. And what do you do with it?
I wipe it off to try and get a better look at it.
Okay. But about this time, it's like the overseers are watching it. Says, "What are you doing?"
Oh, I got some bone underneath my fingernail. Got to pick it out.
Okay. Be quick about it.
All
So
right,
anyway.
just put it in my pocket really quick.
Okay. So then you're loading this up. This goes on for, you know, you've been doing this early morning. This goes on. It gets into the late afternoon, and they go, if you want to take a break, says, he said that there's some, he points off to, you know, it says the warehouse is there, and there's this, by the, you're by the edge, there's sort of a small beach-like area there, and he goes, over there, he says, we set up some, he says that there's a table over there with some wine and some sandwiches for you. You'll have to try and wash off in the bay if you want that for lunch. So they invite you. He says all the overseers are staying as far away from you because you guys smell, shall we say, rather atrocious. And they've set this spot over there with some food. So do you guys take lunch, or do we continue on, or what are you doing?
Still pretty
Is
hungry
there a
for
way-
breakfast, so
I was saying, is there a way that I can jump off the dock into the bay and swim to shore and have lunch?
Sure.
I'll do the same thing.
Okay.
Should save time.
Same here.
Okay, so you jump off. Well, actually, what you do is you jump off the ship down into the there and swim over, and yeah, you still, you know, you can wash off in the salty water and try and get the gunk off, but I mean, you're not going to get the smell out of your noses out of this, and it's coarse. What's there is coarse bread with there's some cheese, which you really can't smell or hardly taste because of other things. And you got the coarse bread and the cheese and some fish, shall we say, it's fresher fish than what Barbosa ate this morning, but it's it's edible, but it's a little bit prepared, a little bit salted fish. There's some wine. So each of you give me a perception roll.
I got a
17.
17.
The mighty 8.
Okay. 17, 2 17s and an 8.
Yeah.
Okay, and I guess okay. So we'll go with that. You notice that those with
I got a 13.
you got a what?
13.
Okay, the two that rolled 17. Notice that woven into the pattern in the basket that had the sandwiches, shall we say, the bread and the fish. There's into the side of the basket. You notice it's not the bottom; it's on the side, and from the inside you don't really see it, but it's woven sort of raised just on the outside in the reeds. It's the symbol of what looks like a shield with a torch across and a torch. So it's like you got the shield and you got the torch going diagonally across it. And there's some attempt to make it look like the torch is lit. But there's a torch and shield on the basket. But that's the only thing that you notice that's kind of unusual about that. So you finish up lunch and back to work. And so you're loading this all up, and you finish. It's been a long day, long, very smelly, icky day. So at the end of the day, they give each of you 10 gold. Because Barbos was down in the bottom, he gets 15. Was it Barbos? Yeah, Barbos was down in the bottom because you had to defend yourself a little bit more. Okay?
Okay.
Perfectly fine.
Perfectly fine. So he gives you, they each give you 10 gold, and they said, there will be another ship tomorrow if you're interested. So now then, are you going to, it's getting dark, are you going to take a carriage back, or are you going to try and walk?
How long's the walk? I might have missed that when you were moving from the one place to the other.
Well, on the way there, could we say maybe we were looking down alleyways and maybe spotted a shortcut?
Well, okay, let me...
Because I saw there's, in between buildings and such, instead of that long way around.
You're right here. And this is the beach that you ate lunch at, sort of. And this is where the ship was. This is where the Drunken Builder Tavern is. Now, you could go down the beach and then up. What happens is the road goes over this way. It takes a while to get there because there is no road from here over that way. So do you want to, you could go through this town, I mean, that way, across that way, or you, like I said, you could go down the beach. Which way do you want to go? And distance, let's see how distance. As the crow flies, it's 500 feet. Info, length along, that's not going to do that. Well, I can try length along, but I don't think it will. No. It's going to select entities. Oh, I'm not sharing. Sorry. Share. So, okay, it's 500 feet. Okay, info distance. As the crow flies from here to here, it's about 500 feet. If you went from here to the beach, that's 200 feet, and then you could go, it's another 500 feet. It's a bit longer, but see, the road doesn't go this way, so you have to go all the way down here and up and around and down and up to get back to the to the Drunken Builder Tavern. Like you could walk along the beach. It's getting toward dusk, and you could come up this way. Or what do you want to do?
I think the beach is the best bet.
Yeah, I think we stink and a
To the
nice
beach.
stroll to the left along the beach and then north of the beach.
Okay. So you come along the beach here, and it's, it's just dusk. It's relatively quiet. I mean, there's a lot of seabirds and such. And you get down here, and then you head up this way. And as you get onto the road, notice people looking your way and and giving you really evil looks, and you're sort of rank smelling. And you approach here, and then you get to the door of the Drunken Builder, and the woman who runs it says, "You're not coming in here smelling like that. We'll never get rid of that smell."
Do they have a back?
Recommend a bathhouse?
Yeah, like a backwash area.
And she says, "Come on down." And it says, "Go on down the side to the end down here, and we'll see what we can do for you." And God, she says, "You stink."
What are we paying for the night, Jeff?
Oh, now you ask.
I might have missed that this morning, or whatever you guys were paying, or if you stayed here.
Well, okay, your last one was free, because your last one was included in the. Okay, actually, I can share that. Doesn't matter. Let's see what D&D Beyond. I don't know if I mentioned to everyone, I do have everything from D&D Beyond, so it's there, and I got the master, so we can do that. Let's see if I search. cause of terror. Recurring expenses. Okay. In you're saying it's called building a stronghold, crafting magic items, running a business. No, I guess it's here. So what do they say? Recurring expenses. I usually expect to account for such property. No. Downtime activities. Building a stronghold. Building a business. Well, that doesn't help a lot. Lifestyle expenses. There we go. Price per day. Modest 1 gold piece. Food, drink, and lodging. No, okay, so what is it? They're saying service, hireling, message, show. Meals and lodging per day. So modest is 5 silver pieces. So or comfortable is 8. So it's less than a gold piece a day. Oh, I didn't share that. Sorry. I clicked to share and so here's so it's meals and lodging per day. So if for a gold piece, you can have modest, which is what you really are. You're in a modest area. Oh yeah, it's 8 silver pieces at the.
There's 2 of the same picture next to each other.
So it's listen. It's about we can round it up to a gold piece a day. It's a little bit less, but gold piece a day. You've got.
I'm just gonna offer. I didn't catch the bartender's name or the bar matresses owners.
Okay, so the.
But that said, I just was gonna offer for the inconvenience twice if we're gonna pay for the night. Just twice the pay out of my pay, like I don't know the payment for if that interests her. For the extra care in the back in the shower.
Well, for the shower and such, she'll say that'll be fine. We'll give you, we'll take care of you. Her name is Zelenka. So she's the run. She says, okay, so I will. Zelenka runs the place and says, okay, it's going to take you a cut. So what they do is they drag out a big old tub and they fill it full of water and they go, oh, it's going to take a while for you guys to get through and wash up and so on. So now we have Darla is the female, and she says, okay, we have a smaller tub over here that you can use. So she gives you a little bit of modesty, and that you have to scrub down and try and get the odor. You cut the odor down to about strong, you still have, shall we say, the equivalent of very strong body odor, but it's not. It's this rancid fish stuff. And she says, okay, you can go to your rooms for the evening. So You get there in the evening, and 1 second here. So let's see. So you get there in the evening, and um, okay. Now then, all right. So we finished up with that. So now then, you head back to your rooms, and as you're heading back to your rooms, a tall, very thin gentleman steps up to Bofu and says says to Bofu, "I hear you're looking for someone."
Yes. Have you found him?
And okay.
Yeah.
Roll initiative.
All right. $15.
Okay, you see him slip out a dagger and try and stab you. And as he does this, he says, "This is from a miss." And what? So, go ahead and take your swing.
All right. Plus 10. I got a 25 overall.
Okay, how much damage do you?
15 on the die plus 10.
Okay,
And I
the,
do 12. 16 damage.
he crumples to the floor. So, what do you do now? You've got this
Is he
dead.
still alive?
No,
Oh, he's dead?
he's dead.
Okay.
Massive kill.
There was no puncture wound. I think they just. I don't know.
Then I'm going to
You gotta go out the back door.
wave someone down. If I'm outside, I'll wave down a guard.
No, you're
I'll
actually
wave down-
inside the inn.
Is this in plain sight? I guess
Yeah,
describe the scene again. I guess.
You're in the hallway. It's in, shall we say, somewhat plain sight. There's only you guys in the hallway, right?
I'm gonna give a holler for the innkeeper.
Self-defense, right?
Well, if we're all in this hallway, I mean, is that gonna? You think that's gonna fly, or Who's this person? I guess I missed the backstory on Bofu, so I apologize. On this man that's going to give up info to pull the knife. Is he always here? Is he identifiable? Is Zelenka's brother? So if he goes missing, he's going to be noticed.
Well, you've never seen this guy before.
Okay, all right. Well then, Bofu, by all means, your call, man. If you want to do this.
Yeah, I'm calling for the innkeeper.
Okay.
Okay, so you call the innkeeper, and she goes, and Zelenka wanders up. What do you need now? He says, you're such a smelly bunch, and she looks down and sees the body on the floor. Says, what happened here?
He attacked me. I defended myself. I killed him with one hit.
And she goes, let me see. What does she do?
Can she identify him?
She said,
Talk it up, Bofu. Can you identify this murderous criminal that just, I think he was going to rob you?
he says, I'll take care of this, but it'll cost you another gold.
Fine.
Okay. So she says, hope he didn't stain the rug. She look. So she comes up to the body and tries to make sure that the body isn't bleeding onto the rug. That's what appears to be her concern. And she calls down, and a couple of the girls come up, and she says, "Hey, take him out to the back." And so they heft him off and drag him. Now, don't do this again.
Really was self-defense.
If they attack me, I will.
So anyway, after a little bit of adventure in the hallways, you head off to your rooms for a relatively quiet evening, shall we say. Okay, so things are relatively quiet until morning, and just as you're getting up, you hear some noises out in the hallway. And just mainly, you hear somebody walking up and down the hallway, and they appear to come to, to each door, and you hear them. It's like they're listening at the door, and then they go on to the next door and continue on.
Can I detect thoughts?
Okay.
I can go up to a foot of cinder block or what have you, or 3 feet of earth as far as penetration if I can't see something to roaming minds.
Come on, let's see.
But it's a 30 foot radius. Pull that up, make sure that distance is right.
Okay, so what does there we go. That's a detect thought. Share. Range self. Okay, components.
it's like a spot I can see the self.
One creature that you can see within 30 feet of it. You can't see them.
But there's, hold on, let me find lower, because I can also do like a search with it and roam if I can't see it. But there's like some kind of concentration thing to it. I thought, but I might be mistaken.
Let's see. Initially on the surface. Either way, the target knows problem unless you shift your attention.
I can use the spell to detect the presence of thinking creatures that I cannot see up to 30 feet. Or I'm searching for a thought within 30 feet around me.
You can search for 30 feet. But, okay. You can't detect it with a creature. One that doesn't speak any languages. You detect the presence. So you detect their presence, but you, Benjamin Smith. Okay. Let me try.
Wait till he comes to your door and then look at his feet.
Well, once I detect the presence of the creature this way, I can then read its thoughts for the rest of the duration, which is 1 minute. But it works as if I can see him, where it's on the surface thoughts. Unless I want to actually try to figure out a question, then it's like a save.
Okay, you can't detect a tree. Okay, so you detect the presence of a creature. So you detect okay, but either way, let's see. To another creature's thoughts or attempt probably. So, as an action, you can either shift your attention to another creature's thoughts or attempt deeper. Either way, unless you shift your creature's thought. Make an intelligence check. Spell ends. So spell's particular effect is part of interrogation. Okay, once you detect the presence of the creature, you can read its thoughts for the rest of the duration as detective script, even if you can't see it, but it must be within range. So, okay, so you can read the surface thoughts of the creature, and what it's saying, what it's doing is, it's trying to decide: is this the room I need to? Is this where the person I want is sleeping?
So then as my probe, if there's enough time for a probe, I just want to kind of see if he'll think about the name of the person he's looking for, or a description. And then if that was a save, his intelligence save would be a 14.
Wisdom save.
Or wisdom save would be a 14. 14 or higher to save.
Okay. So now then, where did that go? Okay, so he saved.
Okay.
Okay. If it fails, okay. If it succeeds, the spell ends.
Yep.
Either way, the target knows you're probing its environment. So, all right. So he was outside your door doing that. He bursts in your door and pulling out a short sword and tries to attack you because you were still in your bed because you didn't say you got up.
Right.
So, all right.
Basic maneuvers.
So he takes a swing. What's your armor class? Oh yeah, but you'd be in bed. So
Yeah, I'm not wearing anything.
So
my robes.
Okay. So, and you're prone too. Oh, God.
I want an initiative roll to see if I can get up before he can get to the bed.
Okay. Oh, God.
Because I kind of knew he was there, right?
Yeah, he kind of knew he was there. What'd you roll for initiative?
Let's see. 7.
Okay. Yes, I have been rolling really hot against you. I rolled okay. He rolled the saving throw. He rolled a 19, and the initiative roll. He rolled a 19. To hit, he rolled a 16, which I think is going to hit you.
Yeah, that's a hit.
So okay, what is the okay? So this is,
13.
okay, short sword.
It's a good time to pick up my sword.
Oh, come on, short sword damage. Weapon. I just want. Come on, why? Is it short sword damage? How much is the short sword damage? Is it
D6, I think.
D6? Okay. Take 5.
Okay.
So he takes 5 damage. Now, okay, it's been a while since we've done this. So do we reroll initiative? No, we just keep going. So you get a swing at him.
I want to
Or you get an action.
yeah, based on the way we're sitting, I know where Darla and Bofu and everyone's staying. What rooms? Like who's next to me? Either
Yes.
side? Okay. So I want to bonus action Misty Step, and that's any place within the footage that I can see. So I want to go beyond him into the hallway and reappear. And then I'm going to take my 30-foot action to hit up Bofu's room. But I want to see if I can just burst through the door. I'm not knocking and waiting.
Mystic Step?
Yep. Misty Step, I'm sorry.
Misty Step.
Mm-hmm.
Misty Step. Okay. Misty Step.
Just to let you guys know that I keep getting dropped a lot, so if you ask me a question I don't answer, that's why. I'll come right back.
I understand. So Misty Step, so you okay. Casting time, 1 bonus action. Duration is briefly surround you with silver. You can teleport up to 30 feet to an unoccupied space you can see. So you would teleport outside the room.
Yep.
Okay. And that's a bonus action. And then what do you do?
I want to go whoever's door is closer, like left or right to Bofu's room. I'm hoping he's within 30 feet. If he's not, then I'll take Darla if she's within 30 feet.
They're both about the same distance.
Okay, so we'll go to Bofu, and I'm just if I have anything left, I'm hoping to burst through the door, knock on the door. I mean, you know what? Just trying to see if the door's open, but I'm also yelling his name. To let him know.
Okay. So what does Bofu do?
Well, he's hearing this strange voice hollering his name. He's going to wake up, grab his axe, and head out the door. See what's
Okay.
going on.
So you turned into a silver mist and teleported away. The character pivots around, runs out into the hallway, and sees the 2 of you there. And then he runs the other way down the hallway away from both of you. So what do you do?
Bofu, I'll give you the first action. And if Bofu doesn't take the first action,
I'm waiting to find out.
you have a weapon and, well, you at least have a weapon. I'm in the buff and naked. Well, not naked, but like unarmed. So I give, you know, to whatever you want to do if you chase after this man or not before I make my decision.
So what does Bofu want to do?
What'd you get me up for?
I'm just going to say that guy's getting away. He's here for somebody. All right, I won't even say somebody. He's here for one of us.
I think at this point, Darla will open the door, holding a dagger, going, what's going on?
Let him go. He's too far away now.
How far away is he, Jeff?
Well, he's running down the hallway at human speed. So, okay, come on.
30 feet from plus whatever. Does that move?
Oh, if he's within 40 feet, I'm running at. I can move 40 feet in one move.
So, no, okay, so, okay, Galath moves 30. What was it? It was the,
So
okay.
to get kicked out of this inn.
Okay, so, yeah, you charge after him. He runs now. He sort of has an advantage in that he knows the inn better than you guys do. So he runs down and darts into a hallway and darts into another hallway. So you quickly lose track of him. What do you do?
Head back to my room.
I think he said he's going back to a room.
Okay. All right. So now you're okay. It was about 5 a.m. It was still fairly early. With after all the commotion, it's about 5:30, maybe 5:45. So you guys go back to sleep, go back to bed?
Yeah.
I'm not.
Okay. So you have a relatively quiet rest of the morning until you get up, I'm assuming around 8?
Yeah.
Okay, you're up or whatever, you're dressed. So wandered back down now. Okay. So we didn't talk. So this gets into the interesting question because Bofu, yesterday you didn't eat breakfast, but the only thing you've eaten now is from lunch yesterday. So
He had rations for breakfast.
Okay, all right. So you had rations for breakfast. So now then, you go back down to the central room, and the head waitress, the head of this, I can't remember her name, but I have to look it up. She says, sort of shoos you over into the corner so you don't offend the other guests, and says, what do you want for breakfast?
This is Zelenka?
This is
Zelenka from that I asked the name for earlier?
Zelenka, yes.
Yeah, okay.
So she says, what do you want for breakfast?
I'll tell her, I said, I know we smell atrocious. Day's work. But I'll take mine to go if I could just have a ham sandwich with some cheese and bread. And I'll be on my way.
She says, okay, I can wrap that up. Well, actually, that's an interest. Okay, so I can put it in a bag for you. Yeah, you don't have paper bags and you can't wrap it up in paper. So, yeah. Paper doesn't.
Lunchbox.
I figured she would just I figured she would just hand me a sandwich. Bread is what was it,
Yeah. Okay.
They wrapped in a cloth or something.
So what does Barbos do?
For food?
It's breakfast, yes.
Okay. I'm gonna say that the food I had yesterday wasn't filling enough. So I'm just gonna hand her 14 gold and tell her to bring me anything she can with that much.
14 gold. She goes, okay. So they bring you another plate of the, like you had yesterday, a half-eaten chicken that's been sitting out all night, and another plate with a pile of fish and a big stein of mead. And he says, I don't, she says, 14 gold is a bit much. And she says, she gives you back 12 and says, if you're still hungry, I got more after this if you are still hungry. And so anyway, so she gives you this. And then what about Sinatra?
I asked her if she has anything in seaweed flakes, rice cake, pad, like paper, anything that's maybe kelp. Sea vegetarian life or sea vegetarian food.
Oh yeah, you're a vegetarian.
Vegetation. No fish, no land cow or meat or whatever. So.
Okay.
Or something I guess close. I guess I would be eating green beans would be the closest thing to above water.
So she says, "Let me go check," and she goes back and she comes back with some it's basically seaweed. The big plate of seaweed for you. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, I forgot. Oh, vegetarian. Are Tritons normally vegetarian?
I don't know. I haven't read much up on them, but I'm just going with the background of the story from your session.
Maybe some kind of rice or something.
I was saying they probably would still eat something water-based, even if they might even be willing to eat fish if they're religious enough to see that it's a necessity and provided by the sea. So.
Well, let's see. So, looking up Triton names, Triton traits. Okay, so yeah, I guess it would be. You probably wouldn't have problems. Okay, so it's a normal vegetarian. You might not be particularly fond of like potatoes, but you could probably eat them because they're vegetarian. If you want to be vegetarian, you would run into what are some of the grains you might have difficulty with. You might not like some of those, but let's see what else. I'm trying to think what else would grow in the tidal pools. There'd be some seaweed and some things like that. So she gets you something, and she says, "If you're staying longer, I will make sure I have a bit more variety tomorrow." And okay, so you guys finish breakfast. For Barbos, they bring you out another plate covered with the nondescript gravy and such, and lots and lots of carbohydrates, shall we say. And you have so we get you through the there. So now you finish breakfast. What do you do now?
I want to tip the person who brought me the food 2 gold.
Okay.
Say thank you for the wonderful meal.
Okay.
I want to bring up the fact that nobody finds it strange that this dude was in our hallway for Barbos after a dude just tried to kill him, and then a second one was up there. Probably, I'm just like gonna slant the story. Also looking for Barbos to probably kill him in his sleep, and he didn't seem to really care. But it cost me this, and I'll just like show like a slashed wound, and you can see like through the robe more gray skin that's got like medicine herbs or whatever, because I'm skilled in medicine. So
who are you telling this to?
to the party, or while we're sitting there eating, I just kind of lowly say, nobody finds that interesting, or is anyone concerned? Because I've obviously was in the hallway when I heard about Barbos knowing he's looking for somebody, whether that's something I've known anything else too, though. But he's obviously looking for someone.
Bofu.
Bofu,
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
that was Bofu.
I'm sorry. Yeah,
Bofu's looking for the thief that stole his red cloak. There's a part of his name.
Gotcha.
Okay. So
Otherwise, we might want to find another inn because they obviously know where we live.
that's the other thing.
It's kind of hard to hide when you wear a skull mask.
True.
Zelenka asks, that brings up the question. Zelenka asks, do you want to, are you planning on staying another night? What does the party want to do?
I would ask her, well, I'm actually outside eating my sandwich, so I can't say anything.
Oh, so who stepped outside? That was...
Darla stepped.
Okay, Darla stepped outside. Okay. So what does everybody else do? I guess, okay. So we lost...
Bofu's considering. Weighing the pros and cons.
So I would say, like, I'll look at Barbos with Bofu being on the back burner as he's contemplating. Maybe I sense that he's contemplating his plan of action or comments. And I'll bring up, as a second thought, if anyone else had seen what we were dumping on that pit and are up for another ship worth of half-dead fish folk of multiple varieties and races. Or is that just me? Obviously, Barbos, who was down there in the pit, saw all kinds of stuff.
Yes, but do you want to go there?
But it should be kind of obvious that I have kind of a vested interest if they took a close look when they can see that my skin is ashen gray like them. A couple of them anyway, as per Jeff's description. And I have small slits of gills behind my ears or what have you if you take close notice.
They didn't seem to care.
Yeah, that's what I took. I just brought it up if it's an interest. If it's not,
Barbos is a little slow, to put it nicely, so he didn't really notice.
Yeah.
And actually, I'm outside eating my sandwich, but if you had come outside or when I see you, I would have asked you, so what do you think of this job we have? Because I've had some shitty jobs, and this rates up there with it, I won't go into details, but this is a shitty job.
shitty jobs have smelled better than our job now.
Well, it kind of reminds me of Laundry Day where I used to work, but that's a whole other story.
Well, it was like, I don't know if you watched the video I got talking about the military, or where was it? One of the things that this is a true thing that happens to you in the military. What they do is that they set up a camp. Normally it's the bottom of a 50-gallon drum has been cut off, and that's where the outhouse you go to the outhouse and it drops into the bottom of the 50-gallon drum. So every morning someone is tasked with, you drag the 50-gallon barrel out and you put diesel fuel and mix that up, and then you put some gasoline to get it started, and then you light it on fire to burn all the accumulated excrement.
But now we didn't, or at least in Iraq, we didn't have the drums. We had a pit pool that was huge, and it all just dumped into there, and then they burned the pools.
Okay, so I didn't. Okay.
It was disgusting.
Yes, totally disgusting.
Smell it throughout the whole camp and the tents, and then breathing it there.
I didn't know that they'd done that in Iraq, that they'd actually built the pools, but I know that the 50-gallon drums were, shall we say, that would be the norm. That would be the norm, yeah.
Especially going to be there for a long while.
Yeah, or if you don't know how long you're going to be there.
Yeah.
That's the one it's more. But anyway, so yeah, that's shall we say, a truly nasty job. But this actually might be worse. So, you guys. So what does the party do now?
I assume we all kind of maybe gather outside the place.
Okay.
Right. Keep a lookout for those fucking urchins.
Yeah, move my money pouch to around my neck.
Okay. All right.
You tease them with it.
Oh, actually, I wanted to screen share.
Do we all want to go and do that job again? And because I mean, we're never going to get the smell out of us if we do. And I mean, is that stuff like the stuff that he eats for breakfast? Because I can't even tell anymore.
Oh, it smells worse.
Like the ingredients that they put into it.
This with the gravy. They make the gravy out of that. And I look over at Sinatra and I'm like, and you can't dig it. You can't be digging this job.
No, I have like completely different reasons, I guess, for being here, but it hasn't really tied in or working tie-in. So I'm just here, but it might be with ties to this job, obviously, based on what I have noticed or seen.
Okay. So anyway, so you guys have all stepped outside, and I'm assuming, you assume you came out the front like last time, or?
Right.
Yeah.
So you're out here. Anyway, about from around this corner again, someone throws a rock at Bofu.
I try and catch it.
Okay, give me a dexterity save.
This is gonna be awesome.
15.
Okay, so you catch the rock.
And then quickly throw it back.
Throw it right back.
So give me a roll.
Dex or strength?
Attack roll.
Okay. Yeah, I just don't know if that's a strength or dex.
It would be, I guess he's just gonna give you the advantage to whatever's better for you. Since it's ranged, it could be dex, but since it's heavy like a hand axe, you could probably pick strength as well.
Well, it's a rock. It's not a big rock. So, you ever remember the scene in Braveheart where he throws the rocks at the one guy?
Well, actually, I'm picturing the scene at the end of Big Trouble in Little China where it says it's all in the reflexes after throwing the knife.
Yeah.
So okay, so so whichever gives you better.
All right. 17.
Okay.
Pegs a kid, an urchin.
Okay, so now then let's get. This is the one that I ran into D&D Beyond.
We know how outsiders fare in Jeff's cities. I wonder how his locals fare. We should just be the eyes of some of his locals sometimes.
Simple melee weapons. What does it say on simple melee weapons? Does it have anything? A dart, a sling, nail, martial. So, simple ranged weapons. We'll say a dart. It's equivalent. Oh, it's sling.
Sling.
Yeah, the equivalent of 1 to 4. So 1d4 damage. Give me a roll.
All right. Ooh, 4.
Plus, I guess that would include your.
Dex modifier?
Yeah.
Oh, my dex modifier makes it a 7.
Oh, God. So what happened is this kid threw a rock at you, and you threw a rock back, and his head exploded.
Damn it, Boku.
That rock.
I can't take you anywhere.
You know,
I'm not with this guy. I start walking away.
You were never here.
Wow, that was cool.
This, it hit, smashed in and just exploded. The head, pieces flying, and you hear screams from all around. He killed him! He killed him! He killed him! What does the party do?
Barbos can barely.
Well, I already said as soon as that happened, I walk away and start heading towards work.
Are there enough people in the crowd to Jeff to disperse ourselves among the crowd with almost like a stealth roll, but like stealth in plain sight? I mean, it's not like we do stand out, but at least it's the attempt. I don't know.
Go ahead, give me a roll.
It's a 14. 14 to walk to work, just like Darla's doing.
14 to walk to work. Well, okay. So
zigzag ducking pattern.
So what happens is we get dead body. Well, okay, so here's the little bit of the problem. The person who threw the rock was hiding around the corner here, throwing the rock at you guys here. So your normal path that you had taken to walk to work.
Share screen.
What?
Share screen.
Oh, sorry. Thank you.
Sure.
Yes, I forgot. So you came out, you were standing right here. The guy throwing the rock was right here, threw the rock. You came back, you threw it back and exploded his head. So you got this dead body here. What happens from around the corners here and here and here and out of here and even over here, that you have all these like street urchins who see that you've just blown away one of their kind, and they're screaming, "You killed him! You killed him! You killed him! Murderer! Murderer! Murderer!" And your path to work was normally back right down this way past this body. So what do you do?
You'd think they'd want to take all the stuff off the urchins. I mean, we're helping them out. We're giving them goods.
You're giving who goods?
The other urchins to go take whatever they want off that dude's body. Well, which way is Darla going? Because I'll tell you what, I think we're going the other way and then cutting a couple yards.
Because I want to go the opposite way of whatever was happening. So I guess what I'm going to have to do is go around the building and head north and find a carriage.
Okay, so you're going to head up the road or this way?
I'm going to duck back behind the buildings
Okay.
and find an alleyway to the nearest road.
So we're right here. So go to the right or the left?
I'm gonna go to the left.
Go to the left. You go here and come up this way to this larger street, Old Willard.
Yes.
Okay, so now this is a larger street. Okay, this is a main street. This is Old Willard. I haven't named all the streets yet, but and you want to. Is that where everybody else is going?
Yeah, I'll
Everybody but
follow.
Bofu.
Everybody but Bofu. And where's Bofu going?
And Bofu's going to intimidate with a 17 that if the other kids don't shut up, they're going to end up just like that one.
That's pretty smart.
Damn.
Okay, so they back off.
Street announcement.
What?
So that was pretty smart. A street announcement. Hear ye. Don't come near me.
Okay. So, all right. So now then, okay. So you get out to Old Willard,
And then he's going to follow the party.
okay. Then he's going to follow. Then he's going to follow the party up to here and catch a carriage. Now the first carriage that comes up to you and goes, "Ooh, you guys smell." But anyway.
Yeah, but we tip well.
So what happens is it's not what pulls up next, or what comes up next is not a carriage, but it's a cart, horse-drawn cart, which is willing to take you guys in the back. It's they carry stuff, and he takes you on a slightly different path from here to here to here to here, and then we go down this way. And you eventually get to work. Okay, so you guys have now got back to work. And the boss, let's see, and the boss says, "Oh, glad you guys showed up again." It says, and at this time, the ship that you had seen before is gone. And a different is pulled into this slip here, and the ships that you were riding on have driven off. Not driven. I have taken off. They've departed, and so you got this other ship with this, and so you have another day of. Shall we say, offloading the ship. So I'm going to say, why don't we call it? I normally was going to quit at 11. Why don't we quit a little bit early tonight? Okay.
All right. And the guy he's looking for, his name is pronounced Amis.
Amis.
Oh yeah, I saw that in the
Yes.
chat earlier. I think. Gotcha.
Amis. So then what I'll do is I'll post up. I'll figure out what experience people have got. I'm not ready to do that right now. So I'll figure out the experience, and then I'll post put that up there. I normally what I have. Let's see. Do I have that handy? So I have. This is my experience. So I haven't figured out what it does. This automatically calculates experience and levels and such. So, there's an error there, but we'll fix that because it gives me the average. So we'll work that out. That's why you start at your starting experience and your total experience up to the point time has been 10,000. And we'll figure out what kind of experience you guys have. I'll post up this one. Now, just sort of a interesting question. What about? Do you care if I add email to this spreadsheet? Because that would mean that other people could see your email addresses.
That's fine by me.
What?
I said it's fine by me.
I'd prefer my email not to be there.
Okay. Then I won't put it there. Because I have another spreadsheet with people's emails on it. Okay. I understand. That's why. That's what I was just because I need to keep track. I try and keep track of everything, and I normally calculate the experience for everyone. So I'll do that. Okay. So let's finally talk about schedule. So September we're done with. October we'll do the normal. We'll do on 7, 14, 21, 28. November gets a little odd. We'll do the 4th and the 11th, and then we will skip 2 weeks till December 2nd. And the reason is PhilCon. I'm going to go to PhilCon, which is on the 18th, and then this is Thanksgiving. So we won't do one for 2 weeks in November. And then December, the same thing with December. We will do the 2nd and the 9th and the 16th. And I don't know about the 23rd or 30th. We may not do the 23rd simply because it's getting close to Christmas and a lot of people do that. But the biggest gap that I'm sort of planning on is in November. So it's the 18th and 25th. I'm not going to do games, but tentatively I'm doing games on all those other dates. Okay?
Cool.
Well, I'm jealous. I've never got to go to a convention before, so you have fun.
Oh yeah, I've been to. Well, that's where I met my wife.
Oh, that's awesome.
I've seen the picture.
Well, not at PhilCon. I met her in New Orleans at NOLACon, which was a World Science Fiction Convention. I've been to 14 World Science Fiction Conventions.
Wow.
And my wife had been to 12. I'd been to a couple before I met her. And then we always wanted to go to another one, but her health was bad, and then she passed away. So it's no, I like to go to the science fiction conventions. Last year was rough. I went to PhilCon last year, and that was emotionally very difficult because I hadn't been to a convention without my wife in 25 years. So that was rough. But I'm planning on going there. I'm going to spend some time there, and then I'm going to go visit my family some family in New Jersey. So it's there. So it's been interesting. Sorry about petering out a little bit tonight. I'm okay. I'm relatively okay, but it's. I thought it would be a good breaking point because I didn't want to get
stinky. Yeah, no problem.
Yeah, it's interesting. I think I've got some hooks set up for you guys, and we'll see how things go. And did you guys have fun tonight?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
That was good.
Okay, so yeah, I gamed differently than most.
Hey, Hunter,
Yeah.
are you a great weapon fighter?
Yes, I am.
Okay. Just making sure we didn't have two barbarians in the group.
See, there's a lot of sides in this group. That's why I was trying to figure out who is who.
Yeah, Bofu's a barbarian.
Yeah, so got a Goliath and a barbarian, or did I see that right? Yeah.
Well,
Oh, I'm a barbarian,
actually,
too.
Hobgoblin.
Bofu's the
Okay.
hobgoblin,
Right.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
but he wears a mask so no one knows that.
I'm sorry. I didn't mean to display that, but that's.
Oh, sorry. I can put a line through those inks.
So yeah, I know that. So there's that. So I'll set up the invites for next week, and I think it worked well. This one I think went off fairly well. It was interesting. Getting back into this, I hadn't been gaming for a couple of years, so it's just trying to get back with this. So thank you. It was a lot. I think I'll stop the broadcast. It was a lot of fun.
Next week, man.
Okay.
Yeah.